Joining us now is the CFO of Volkswagen, Frank Witter. Frank Witter, good morning. Nice to see you. Thanks for taking the time to come and see us here at Bloomberg. Let me start off with trade. And I'm curious, you make a lot of cars in Mexico. What do you think of the trade deal that's been done between Mexico and the United States? How is it going to affect your business?
I think having an agreement in place is important. We need reliable conditions. Unfortunately, we don't know yet all details of that agreement. We also obviously know that Canada is supposedly coming to terms. So for the time being, it's work in progress, but I think stability is what our industry needs, and we appreciate certainly any move towards to a new agreement, which is the basis and foundation for our business in the region.
Do you think it'll affect supply chains? How? I appreciate you can't tell me much about the detail, but kind of give us a sense of what you're planning.
I mean, we know that we probably need to make adjustments, but we have a footprint as is. We obviously just recently opened a factory for Audi in Mexico. We have some flexibility with Chattanooga, but we can't change overnight the footprint. But what we understand so far, the necessary changes can be done within a reasonable period of time to comply with the agreement. But I want to caution ourselves, we don't know yet all details and nothing is finalized, but the directions seem to be within the scope.
Let's switch gear, which seems like an outdated phrase. Now we're moving into the world of electrification. There was a report that you were approached or part of the Tesla Go Private plan. I'm curious to know, is there any truth to that? Were you approached? Were you in any way involved?
No, I heard about the rumors too. There is no substance from our perspective. That were discussions entirely up to Tesla, and we were not part of it.
Have we reached... Tesla has been an amazing story, and it quite literally has electrified the car sector. And I remember talking to Elon Musk a while ago, and him telling me that his whole emphasis was on getting German engineers, who he thought were the best in the world, to get their act together when it comes to electrification. Have we now achieved that? And it feels like we have. And have we reached, therefore, peak Tesla? Is peak Tesla now behind us?
I don't know. We have a lot of respect for Tesla and Elon Musk. I think they really changed the thinking in the industry. They had a strong impact. They have been the benchmark in many respects. And therefore, they will overcome the problems they have in terms of ramping up production. And therefore, we should and will take them as a serious competitor. But we rely and trust in our ability. We are very excited about the launch of the Audi e-tron. The Porsche Taycan will follow next year. And then the big next issue is really getting into volume with our MEB-based platform out of Zwickau for Volkswagen, Audi product and Seat, and this is the wave of electrification, and I think we have something to offer which will be very convincing in all segments of the market, may it be luxury and volume. So we look at every competitor, we certainly looked and do look at Tesla, but we focus on our strengths and abilities, and luckily most engineers stayed with us.
Mr. Witter, you are the evil person. The President of the United States thinks you're a bad person. You are stealing American jobs, and on and on and on. You've had decades of work in financial management of manufacturing processes with a hat tip to your Swiss Air lineage as well. What does Mr. Trump get most wrong about international manufacturing processes?
I think he's asking for fairness. I think we all rely on free trade being the foundation for the progress we made over the years. I think we employ thousands of people in the United States. We have a huge dealer network and supplier network. And I think we appreciate and ask for fair and reliable terms and conditions. We hope that we will overcome this period of uncertainty. May it be related to the dispute about the United States and Europe as well as China.
I'm going to ask you a delicate question here. I don't want to get you in trouble. Why are American cars not sold in Europe? I mean, this is a big debate now. You know, the fear of more foreign automobiles, well-made European automobiles coming into America, and the president wants American cars sold in Europe. Why aren't more American cars sold in Europe?
I think that's a really difficult question.
Agreed,
for me,
delicate.
Being the CFO. Yeah, but at the end of the day, the customer do decide. I don't think American OEMs are being discriminated. I think the tariff discussion ongoing. There are certainly some elements which are being made. But at the end of the day, we all have to convince the customers. And at the end of the day, if you look at the Volkswagen performance, we all will easily agree that Volkswagen should do way better than a 2% market share in North America. So we have our own homework to be done. And therefore, that is what we are focusing on. And from my perspective, at the end of the day, if you have a compelling brand and a compelling product, I think that can also be sold in Europe, and this is the homework the American OEMs have to do as much as Volkswagen has to do the job right in the United States.
How many, I know you know this to 10 people, how many bodies and souls do you have in the United States? How many people are employed by Volkswagen in the United States, all in manufacturing, VW, dealerships, and on and on?
I have to excuse myself, I don't have that number from the top of my mind. These are thousands, that's what I know, but I don't have the exact number. But if we take the indirect depending people, we are talking thousands of people who are depending on the success of the Volkswagen brands. And it's obviously not only Volkswagen, it's also Porsche, Audi, and financial services.
What do you say to those people within this nascent trade war that we're in? They got to go to work in America, they got to pay their American taxes, and yet they're working for a company that's an evil company to the President of the United States. What do you say to your employees to steal them into 2019?
I hope that we will be able to convince the President of the United States that we are not evil. We pay our taxes, we employ American citizens. I have 2 American family members who have an American passport. I lived 9 years in the United States. I have a lot of appreciation for the American society and the Americans. I have a lot of friends there. I don't think we are evil. We made a terrible mistake in terms of the diesel issue. We pay dearly for it. We will overcome it, and we hope for a second chance for the Volkswagen brand in the United States. And we were working hard to have the right offer. And our employees and the dependent people, they know that Volkswagen is a great car company and that we have a lot to offer and that we want to be good citizens everywhere and in the United States certainly as well.
Frank, is VW massively undervalued? And the reason I ask this question is, and I'm looking at the Aston Martin IPO that's coming up, and then I look at Ferrari, and I look at the multiples that Ferrari trades on, and then I look at Porsche, and I do the maths on what Porsche could potentially be worth if it traded on similar multiples to Volkswagen. And it would be worth, I don't know, I've seen calculations that put it Porsche being worth $100 billion. Which is more than the group, the whole of Volkswagen is worth now. So if you buy Volkswagen and you're buying Porsche and you get the rest for free, what would it take? And I know there's a lot of affinity with Porsche inside Volkswagen. There's a little bit of history there. What would it take for you to crystallize the value that potentially could lie in Porsche if it was put on Ferrari multiples?
I think it's absolutely true that the multiples for the entire automotive industry are currently truly very, very low at historic lows.
Not for Ferrari.
Yeah, that's an exemption, but this is a niche on its own. I think those multiples can't be replicated by anybody. There's a specific regarding that brand. No, I think we need to unleash the value. I think we need to educate the world better about the potential we have. I think we have been very transparent regarding the potential challenges and risks in the transition to a more electrified world. I think we are strengthening the cooperation between Audi and Porsche. They are together developing the luxury electric platform, our PPE. So we have a lot of potential, I agree. There are currently a lot of questions regarding the industry, and I don't think that the multiples will stay that low forever.
Do you have to wait until you've electrified Porsche, basically, until you can maybe see that happen? Do you need, is that what needs to happen from an engineering point of view? And then the world will look at Porsche and say, that's what it should trade on, and as a result of which you back that into the rest of VW?
I think the people will need to get the comfort that the transition of the industry will be managed successfully. And I think the very moment we get the product out there, starting with the Audi e-tron, I think the confidence will grow that the industry will manage successfully the transition. I think it was important, particularly for Volkswagen, that we have been upright and honest about the challenges of that transition, CO2 compliance and all those issues, but that we also have strong answers, that we have a strong strategy. So we believe, and we believe that we will convince the investors.